a life best lived is a life by design.
Mm-hmm.
And if I were going to design, I'm 55. If I'm going to redesign myself at 55, what does that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Welcome to the Four Fires Podcast, where we talk about winning in all four of the essential areas of life.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Four Fires Podcast. In this episode, we're going to be having a discussion with our friend Richard Maddox. And Richard's been on the podcast before, and we're happy to have him back. And like all of us, including myself, we're all on our four-dimensional journey. And Richard's had a very extraordinary journey, and he's got some really cool things, some breakthroughs that he's had in his life, and some of the practices that he's practicing right now that are really making a difference in his level of joy and fulfillment that he's feeling and getting out of life. So I hope you enjoy this podcast, and I hope that you can take some of the things that we talk about and apply them to your life to turn knowledge into wisdom. So without further ado, here's Richard.
Yeah, so I had a conversation with Alan. Alan gave me, you might recall, there was a painting of a lion on the wall. And it really, I walked in one day and I'm like, wow. And I guess he could see how much it spoke to me.
Yeah.
And like we did whatever we were going to do. And then before I was getting ready to leave, and he said, take it with you.
Yeah.
That's typical Alan.
Yeah.
You know, like typical Alan.
Yeah,
That's just
for sure.
And I hung it up in my office, and I have a big, long conference table in the conference room, and I desk at the conference table, and I hung that painting up at the end of it where I could see it. And I look at it all the time. So one morning I'm doing my Bible study, and I happened to look up at the picture, and I thought of Alan. And so I just texted him, and I said, hey, man, I'm looking at this picture. Thank you so much. I'd like to connect.
Yeah.
He called me immediately. And so he said, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm doing my Bible study. And he goes, something to the effect like, why are you calling me? And I said, well, I think you'll find it interesting. I have a very short Bible study. It's called Morning Mindset. It's a 7-minute podcast that he takes a Bible verse and digs in. And you've seen my entire journey, right? So
well,
I think the
some
last,
of it. I don't know about
I meant just the last 2 years.
Sure. Yeah.
The last time I was here talking to you, I was like, well, I gave you this example of why I'm going to start believing in God, because I read this passage by Carl Jung about how you just fake it till you make it.
Right.
And
Yeah.
So that was whatever that was 2 years ago. That was my serious beginning of that journey. And, I told you then that Alan has been probably the biggest instigator of my thoughts and,
That's cool.
So I called it, and I said, I think you're going to find this very interesting because, I do this podcast, and the podcast guy says I have a journal if you want to journal along or whatever. And I thought, I don't really need that because I've got this format that Alan taught me, which is
The Four Fires.
The Four Fires. So when I journal every day, and I'll tell you, this is a new journal because my journal that I've been doing since June the 30th is when I started this, and I lost it on Friday or Saturday of last week.
Just straight up lost it? You don't know where?
I'm going to tell you what I think happened. So I had a meeting with a guy. I'm trying to buy a business from a guy.
Okay.
And I had a meeting, and I like to take something to write with and write on when I go in these places. And I've been carrying my journal with me everywhere. It's kind of like become a weird talisman kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like I need
The
this
rabbit's
thing.
foot. Yeah.
I don't want to call it that because but I have this weird attachment to it. And so I get there, have the meeting. He wants to give me a bunch of records. And so I put my journal in my trunk, and I go about and go do my thing, and then got wrapped up in some other things. End of the day, I realized I'd left that in the trunk, and now I'm getting a little panicked. So
Is this a rental car?
No, it's my
your car.
Yeah,
Okay.
I switch back and forth between the truck and car.
Gotcha.
So I I go and I get it out, and I was rushing to do something, and I have this bad habit of sitting stuff, on the rail of my truck.
Oh yeah.
And so I think I was going to play golf. And so anyway, I do whatever I got to do, and then it's Friday night. My habit is and when I read this to you, you'll understand why, but I open and close my day
in that book.
in this book.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
cool.
I go to close my day, and I go to my truck, and I'm like, man, but I know I got it out of my car. I remember getting it out of my car. So in a panic, I go back to my office, and I'm going through it. I'm like, I must have walked back in the office, and I set it down. So I go everywhere, look everywhere. I'm really nerve-wracked about it. And that's honest. And I called my mom because, anyway. So go on, and just in my memory, I rehearse, my stuff, and believe in God will figure this out. It'll show up. It'll just show. I lose stuff all the time. I'm ADD. I lose stuff all the time. So it's not uncommon for me to lose something, but I'm like, it'll turn up because I haven't thrown it away. Right. I know it was in the trunk of my car. I know that. So I looked again the next morning, and I'm kind of fit to be tied. And so I start processing, and I'm kind of talking to God about it. And so I do the what ifs. So what if, somebody in the office found there's a lot of personal stuff in this.
Oh yeah.
There's stuff in here I don't want people to read. It's me and God, right?
Yeah.
And then I think, okay, well, you know what? If somebody were to open this book and read it, I'm not sure that'd be a bad thing. And I start, doing the scenarios about that. Well, if you read this, yeah, you would probably know some personal things about me I'd prefer you not to know because I own the company and, whatever. However, you also might go, oh, there's somebody doing something maybe at a deeper level of intention, to borrow our mentor Alan's term.
Yeah.
And then I thought, fine, I was at peace with it. And then I realized I probably left it on the bed of my truck and it got slung off on the road somewhere.
Yeah.
Which made me feel bad because it has a meaning to me.
Yeah.
But then I thought the same thing again. What if somebody picks that up and goes through it? And I thought, well, I'm going to leave it with that. And so I went to my office where I knew I had a couple of these, and I got another one, a new one, and it's bigger because my other one was smaller. Okay. And I was actually running out of room on these 2 pages every day.
Yeah, the big pages definitely help.
And so now I just replaced my day timer with this. So I'm going to just say it was God's will. On to what we started talking about. The point is, though, I do the Bible study, and then I do this quad, right? So I do God, body, friends and family, work.
Perfect.
So that follows the 4 fires. And then I have action items, things that I'm going to do. So every day, I pray, I do my Bible study. I write this vision that God has for me down.
Every day you have a vision?
No, it's the same vision.
Oh, same vision.
I just rewrite it every day.
That's great. That's so good.
I alter it a little bit.
Uh-huh.
And when I tell you some of the things in here, you'll understand. And so I do something called priming, which is basically you do some gratefulness exercises. You do some visualization on your goals. There's some mantras that are tied into it. I don't want to get too corny here, but it's all
some declarations.
Yes, correct. So I do that every day, and then I start a prayer list. Okay, so on Monday I prayed for all the victims of Hurricane Helene. I asked God to dissipate Milton and the election. And then down here I have some things that I'm going to do these things today. This is going to be done. This would be Pareto's principle, 80-20 rule. So 20% of the things I'm going to do are going to make 80% of the difference in my life. So I've started at night reading the Bible. I try to read, and I started in Revelation. So I like it. It's interesting.
Yeah.
So, I'm reading that and I'm journaling about that. So that's my example on body. On Monday, I walked 3 miles. I lifted weights. I'm back into golf, so I'm doing some golf stuff.
There you
go. My knee's jacked up, so I'm praying for my knee mobility. I like for my resting heart rate to get lower, my heart rate variability to get higher. My blood pressure is a little high. I'm fatter than I want to be, so I'm praying for these things, right? Work, but I pray for my family every day. I pray for my friends. You pop up on my prayer list probably once a week. I think of you once a week, and you pop up on there. I pray that you're finding your way and your mission. It usually leads to me either calling or texting somebody.
Okay.
Every day.
That's cool.
And so what I really miss about the journal I lost is, and it's really weird because I don't know what happened, but I was just I have this marker here, so I have this ribbon, that
Yeah.
was in both of those journals, and I keep it on the right place, but I happened to go back, and I went all the way back to June 30, and I started reading what I was praying for in June, and I saw everything that, almost without exception, everything that I'd prayed for had either gotten really better or just gone away. It was like really reinforcing, and so I told Alan all this, and then I read him my what I think God's vision for me is personally. I read that to him out loud, and he said, "You got to send that to me."
Wow.
And so I did. I sent it to him in an email. I don't know if he copied you on that.
I don't think I saw that one. No.
I'm happy to read this to you, and I think what's interesting about it, I could read this to you, and if you're not, but like if you consider every sentence, it's almost it's a play by play off of the Four Fires. It's like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I believe.
It's who I want to become.
This is who I want to become.
Yeah.
I think everybody should write their own.
Absolutely.
But this fits me.
Yeah.
And I've been doing it since June 30, and it's just changing.
Yeah.
I've been writing this every day.
If you're comfortable with it, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And it changes a little bit. So let me heck, I wrote one last night when I got in the hotel. And then if you want to stop me and ask me, explain that to me,
sure,
or whatever.
I'll let you finish. I'll just make some notes when I hear something.
So it starts out, this is God's vision for me. This is my job. Because my belief, the reason I say this is my job is because I believe if I do these things, all these other things that we worry about will take care of themselves. I believe if you become the man that this vision is, all the stuff you worry about, I think will take care of itself. So that's why that's the meaning behind that for me. I'm a warrior for Christ! ! That's what came to me to write. I'm a fighter. I fight for everything, and I don't want to physically fight with anyone. I don't really want to argue about it.
Yeah.
I think what that means to me is that I'm willing to put myself out here now.
Yeah.
And I think in the past I wouldn't have been willing to do that. I'm willing to. I've been playing golf, and I don't. When you play tournament golf, you have to mark your golf ball. You should be able to identify your golf ball. If you're playing a Titleist 2, you need to be able to signify that it's your Titleist 2 that's in this tree, not somebody else's Titleist 2.
Right.
So I mark my ball with a cross.
Okay.
And stand on the first tee, I'm playing a Titleist 2 with a cross. I don't care what people think. And as we go through this, you'll understand. But I'm strong and fit emotionally and physically. My mind and body are God's first gifts to me. Therefore, I see them as temples. I guard their access, only allowing entry to things that have earned a place. That is just, for me, it talks about, in my mind, it's foods that are healthy, like one-ingredient foods, as opposed to ultra-processed. I was drinking a lot of carbonated drinks. I was drinking a lot of energy drinks. I quit those cold turkey. I drink coffee, and I don't drink soda anymore. I drink a lot of coffee, not a lot of coffee. I drink 2 pretty big servings of coffee in the morning.
Yeah.
And then it's water.
Cup twice?
Basically,
yeah.
I do
black coffee?
I do cold brew.
Okay.
I put a little chocolate milk in it.
Okay. Yeah. No, I don't drink it black. I put a little creamer in it. Yeah.
So that's the guarding the access. I only eat and drink things that are healthy for me. I do not drink alcohol. That is all in capital letters with 3 italics on it.
Yeah.
I am a recovering alcoholic. I kind of admitted that to myself in the last year or so.
Yeah. I
haven't had any alcohol in quite a while now, and I'm very, very, very happy about that. I'm very proud of it.
Cool.
So the next, and this has kept me on the square a few times. And if it helps anybody out there, that would be amazing. I believe it to be evil spirits in liquid form. And I read this thing one time where if you drive by a liquor store, it says wine and spirits. Why did they pick that word? It's very interesting. I don't
know. I don't know the history.
It stuck to me.
Yeah.
I don't know the history either.
Yeah.
But I know it's history with me.
Yeah.
So it changes the way I think and my actions and where I go and what I do. And so I believe it to be evil spirits in liquid form inspired by Satan. So I write this every day.
Wow.
And I read it every night. And every time I think about drinking,
it's an evil spirit
that comes to my mind.
Wow. Yeah. That's powerful.
It comes to my mind. It is powerful. It is powerful. I exercise daily and prioritize sleep. Mentally, I only consume news, sport, education, and of course, God's Word. I believe all success begins in the mind with thoughts and words spoken spoken internally. Therefore, I only speak positively to myself and others in my life. I believe in setting goals, and I visualize them partnered with the feelings of accomplishment and gratitude for achieving them. I do this daily.
Hang on, can you repeat that one?
I believe in setting goals, and I visualize them partnered with or paired with feelings of accomplishment and gratitude. So, in other words, I visualize myself winning a golf tournament. I install the feelings of winning the golf tournament because I won them before, so I know how it feels.
Mm-hmm.
So I replay that movie.
That's good.
And then I give thanks to God.
Mm-hmm.
When you pair a vision, goal, if you see it, feel it, if you do both, the likelihood of them coming true, your body doesn't know the difference. Physiologically, psychologically, you don't know the difference in actually doing it or visualizing it and pairing it with the emotion.
It creates the same.
When you bond them, it creates the same dopamine.
Dopamine and endorphins or all the other things that
and then
flow.
You have a internal processing system that essentially your ego, if you keep telling yourself this, your ego will not allow you to keep visualizing something and feeling it and not do anything about it.
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
the root word of emotion is motion. So when you tie this emotion to a goal, you're basically giving yourself the fuel to get off the couch and go do something.
Right.
So if I keep telling myself I'm going to win a golf tournament,
yeah,
and I keep remembering how it was when I won golf tournaments, then like when I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the TV, or which I don't, because I don't.
Yeah.
Unless I'm watching a game, I watch English Premier League soccer, and I watch the news. But let's just say I'm sitting there at work, and I really don't have anything to do. I'm just kind of like maybe going to chat to this person or chat to that person or just kill time. Well, I installed a practice range in my office.
The simulator,
it's
or
not a simulator.
It's
just a net.
Yeah.
And I can video with a phone. And I'll go out there and practice. And I'll send them. I send a video to a buddy of mine that's a teacher. And he's saying, do this. And so, in a very short period of time, there's massive improvements.
Wow.
And I was pretty skilled in that anyway. So, but I'm thinking about this.
Yeah, right.
I think about this.
So,
this is stuck in my head.
Yeah, and because you've been doing it every single day since June 30th.
Well, think about it, Jeff. You have the ability, and this is like, people talk about depression, and you were talking about depression before we got started, and you have the ability to play any movie you want to play in your head. You're like, you can stream Netflix in your own life however you want to. And I think the earlier sentence about the thoughts and words internally could also be expressed in that movie. The movie you choose to play for Jeff Rice's life will determine the outcome. I believe that with all my heart.
I do too.
And so
there's a proverb, I think it's 23:7. I have to fact check that, but it's in the King James Version. The translation says, "As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he."
Correct.
And so I feel like that's kind of what you're talking about.
I do, and I didn't know that. I didn't know that verse.
Yeah. I really like the speaking positively to, you had both yourself and others. Because I used to be, Rachel helped me a lot of this in this area with her counseling background, and we talk so much, and I'm a totally different man than I was 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
Thank you, Rachel.
Yeah, when Rachel and I got married, because I was so negative about myself. Right. I was the nicest guy outwardly. Yep. I was voted most friendly in high school in the yearbook, most friendly. I'm so nice to people outwardly, but then I would just dog myself internally.
Your parents are, and I'm guessing this is going to be the same way. Your parents were probably fantastic people, but they probably only told you the things you did wrong. Or at least that was the feeling you got, was like, Jeff, you really need to work on this. You really need to work on this. It wasn't like, dang, Jeff, you're a great kid.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah. No, not entirely. My parents were great, but if y'all know anything about the disc profile, I'm an SC, and the biggest fear of a C is making a mistake. So, like in baseball, man, if I missed a ground ball, I couldn't get over it.
Gotcha.
I was just like, I made a mistake.
Gotcha.
I'm a failure. So it was more of
personality trait then.
I tormented myself with anytime I made a mistake. I wouldn't think about when I hit the home run.
Right.
I would think about, man, I struck out the last 3 times.
Right.
And that's all I could think about. I couldn't And so I'm no longer that mentally untrained. I feel like I have trained my mind now where I just declare stuff to I'm like, whatever it is, I'm just like, whether it's true or not, I'm like, I am the best video anything in the world when anything I'm doing. So
it's the only thing that's going to add any value.
Right.
Reminding yourself that you hit the ball out of bounds in a golf tournament, or that the last time you played this hole you hit a bad shot. There is no value in it. But yeah, I do this every day. I do some pretty intense goal setting, and then I think about how I'm going to apply that to my daily practice.
Yeah. Okay, continue.
I pray that these practices would help make an impression on those around me with my physical appearance and aura, so that I may be a representative for God. So what that means to me is I hope I do something cool one day and somebody asks me why. Whether that be, in business or golf or this podcast or anything.
Yeah.
I think about this, like when I go to the convenience store or anywhere, and like you can see somebody coming and you're like, oh, they're too far away. I err on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
I'll stand there for 2 minutes and hold the door. Just to I want to be that. That. What's that about? I don't know. I just feel like you keep stacking wins and something will come of it.
Yep.
I pray that I'll do something of value, that someone will ask me how you did that, and I'll be able to tell them this.
That's good. I have a friend whose dad was at a gathering, and the dad was like the oldest guy in the room, so they called him up, and they were like, man, you've done so well in your life. You have a beautiful family. You've financially, they're just like, you're an accomplished man. What's your advice to everyone?
Yep.
And he didn't say anything good. He just kind of, I just lucky to make it through life. Like he just didn't have a good answer.
Right.
And so I think what's cool so you're thinking about, I hope I get a chance to speak life into someone one day, and I believe you absolutely will. But even more importantly, you're already preparing in your heart what you're going to say.
I'm teeing myself up.
Right. And that's the beautiful thing about it.
When God gives me a chance, I've got something of value to say.
Right.
And this goes more into, some of the daily stuff. So I open and close my days in prayer, Bible study, and this, God's vision for me. I lean into God with all life's challenges, knowing He will open doors with solutions or give me the strength to endure. I pledge daily to be a fountain and not a drain in all areas of my Four Fires lifestyle. And I think I'd like to speak to that a minute if you'll let me.
Yeah.
So if you think about these 4 fires, and I've renamed them because it's just easier for me to remember. When it comes to God, I can't be a fountain to God. God's always going to, can't be.
Yeah.
Can't be a fountain as a comparator. I'm always going to take more from God than I'm going to give Him.
Gotcha.
All I can do is do my best. And so I pledge to do that. I try to give. I'm here today because I'm for 2 commitments, friends and family, you and Alan. And then I feel like if somebody hears this, that would be me giving something back. And so I pledge daily to be a fountain, not a drain, in all areas of my 4-fire lifestyle. So when it comes to your body, you can manage that. So I can definitely give my body more than I take from it today.
Right.
I can prioritize. I can manage what I let come in my body. Food, drink. For me, no alcohol. I can prioritize sleep. I can understand that my body is something that should be cared for, not abused.
Yep.
Whether it be with stress, it's just being intentional about what I do with it. And so that's what I mean. Friends and family is very, very easy. You can, in your marriage, you can easily be a fountain. You can always give more in your marriage. You can if your wife and you are fighting on who can give more, you're gonna have a great marriage.
Yeah. Trying to outserve.
I'm gonna
each
out
other.
fountain you.
Yeah.
And so, in friends and family, that's easy, and at work, it's super easy to be a fountain and not a drain. As I look around in my company, and I mean, we definitely have some fountains in our company, but got a lot of drains too. And so for me, I pledge daily, and I think about it every day.
Yeah.
Every interaction that I can. I'm not gonna say every interaction, but like with customers, we're definitely a fountain and not a drain.
Yeah.
With my key employees, I'm definitely a fountain to them and not a drain.
That's good.
And so that's what that means to me. I believe a man who lives his life this way will be surrounded by good people and have opportunities for an abundant life. I pray that God will make me this man. And that's what I do every day, twice a day. And so that's what I told Alan, and happy to share it.
Yeah. Thanks so much. That's That's great. There's so many. I love all your descriptive words because it's not like it's just extremely detailed, which I think a vision should be extremely detailed. It shouldn't just be,
Right.
well, I want to have plenty of money and I want to have
Right.
Like, I think like your warrior, fighter, strong and fit.
Yep.
No alcohol.
Yep.
Prioritize sleep. Speaking positively.
Yep.
So I love all the specific descriptors.
Yep.
And you've inspired me already because I need to go back. I recently have just written a mission statement for the Rice family, and right now it's just me and Rachel. But
Right.
one day we're going to have kids, and I'm already
Right.
thinking about I want to help. You know, I believe that fathers are identity givers,
Yep.
and so I know that I'm going to need to be able to coach and train my kids in that way. So I've written a mission statement for the Rice family, and then a list of call them do's and don'ts, or who we are and who we're not, and it's just like Rices do this, or Rices don't do this, or Rices are this. And so I'm like making this running list on a Word document, and I've had a lot of fun with that.
Yep.
But what you've inspired me to do is to revisit it
Yep.
more often, because I wrote it last week, or created the document last week, and I
Right.
put all my thoughts down. But I need to not only just go back and revisit it and see if I can add to it, but constantly be rewriting it.
Yes, I agree with that because mine has shifted, and I don't really know what started it. I think I listened to John Rich wrote a song recently, sometimes around the time that I started doing this. Maybe it must have been after I heard this, but I heard him say that God just dropped a bomb on him with this song, and he wrote it. But I was just looking at my journal, and it started out as one thing, and it just kept morphing. And then one day I just said I want to, a life best lived is a life by design. And if I were going to design, I'm 55. If I'm going to redesign myself at 55, what does that look like? And so it started out as a few things, and nothing has been removed, but some things have been added, and it's more detail.
Yeah.
And then as I started pairing it with my 4 fires, then I thought, okay, well, I need to structure what I say a little differently because I wanted to have some, like to me, some sequential order.
Yeah.
So. But no, I'm happy with it. I feel like it's maybe one of the best things I've done in a while.
So a quote that I've heard recently that has been on my mind, it's, we don't rise to our goals, we fall to our systems. So with your vision, absolutely, like we just said, you have to write your goals, write your vision for yourself. But walk me through, like, what does your system look like one, I think part of the system is repeating it and rewriting it every single day. But you got any thoughts of, like, what is your system to actually make that vision a reality?
Do you mean like action items?
Yeah.
Well, I do this at between 5:30 and 6 o'clock in the morning. It takes me almost 45 minutes to do it because I rewrite the vision
whole thing,
every day. I listen to the podcast. I do my 4 fires action items and prayer list, and I pray for those things, and then I write out my vision, and then I kind of pray over it. It takes me quite a while to do it.
Yeah.
And it's become a little bit, not this, but this is not changing. I'll give up other things before I give this up because this is
That's beautiful.
become a priority. I got in the hotel room late last night, and I did it last night. I got up earlier than I woke up earlier than I intended to, and the first thing I did was I did that. I didn't write out my vision because I wanted to be here early, but I did my Bible study, and I wrote out my prayer list. I did my prayers. I'll write my vision statement out tonight. I read yesterday's vision statement this morning.
Gotcha.
So I do it twice a day, every day, regardless. But to answer your question, I think I'm starting to pick it up because I write out these things that I intend to get done today. So I visualize my day, kind of try to prep my day every day. And then now I'm picking that back up at lunchtime, and I'm finding things that I miss. And I just do the action item stuff over here. So I'm finding things that I miss and getting after it. And I've been in the habit of working out at 7 o'clock every day. I've been doing it for a long time.
AM or PM?
AM. 5, probably 6 or 7 years. I've been doing it a long time.
Yeah. You still do the cold plunge too?
I do. I do it every morning. I believe in that. Now that I've been playing golf, I've got like some soreness and stuff that I haven't had in a while. So
cool. Is that after your workout, the cold plunge?
Before, first thing.
Before,
Yep.
Okay, wake your body up.
Yep, first thing. And then, like if I'm really banged up, I'll go hot tub, cold plunge, hot tub, cold plunge.
My dad's got a hot tub, and he gets in it like every morning.
Yeah.
Because he's like, man, he like stretches in
Yeah,
the hot tub.
that's great.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
So I'm having to alter that because I've put a lot of energy into the commercial landscape construction maintenance company I have. I've hired a new guy, and it's taken off, which is great. God's answering prayers again.
Yeah.
But I'm heavily involved in that, and that business starts early, you know, and so I find myself finishing my Bible study and going to the office, and so now I'm having to work out at different times, kind of ad hoc. Mm-hmm. I got a gym at home, I got a gym at the office. It's not I got all the opportunity in the world. So what really, to answer your question, my system is I've been in this pattern of high energy until about 2:00, and then and so I'm just resisting that. Meaning, if I don't feel good, I just go work out
at 2:00 in the afternoon,
or 3:00, or 4:00, or 6:00.
Just get the blood flowing.
I make this commitment, and it's just like the not drinking. I make this commitment to God in the morning. This morning, like today, I'm gonna fly to Baltimore. I'm supposed to land at 4:00 and get to my daughter plays at 7. If I gotta go, my intent is to go to the weight room as soon as I get checked in. Go to the weight room in the gym, and I'm gonna do 100 man makers. And that's what I'm gonna do. And
I don't know what a man maker is.
You get some dumbbells of your choice. You hold them. You do a burpee on the dumbbells. You do a push up. Stand up. And there's a couple things you can do. So there's the real man maker would be, as you're extended, you row, put it back down. Row, put it back down, and then you do a clean and a press.
You hop on your feet.
Do a clean and a press.
Okay, come back down.
Yeah.
Well, you got like 80-pound dumbbell? No.
No, there won't be 80-pound dumbbells. They'll probably be more like 40-pound dumbbells.
40 pounds. That's still
it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, and
you do 100 of those one set, or you do like sets
however,
of 20.
However long it takes me.
Yeah.
You know what I typically do is there's a timer app. It's called SmartWatt, and you can do every minute on the minute, or you can do every 30 seconds. And what I'll typically do is I'll just pace that out. I'll pick like either 4 or 5, 3, whatever I feel like I can do in 30 seconds. Get a 1-to-1 work to rest. That's a pretty good, you know, for an old guy like me.
Yeah.
So
you're going to go up there and do that before the game today. Tonight. Yeah.
So that would be an example of how the system has changed. So I write it down in the morning, and it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that's and the strength behind that is my commitment to God. I'm telling God, thank you for my body, and because I appreciate my body, I'm not going to drink alcohol. I'm not going to eat stuff that I know is not good for me. If I can't find a healthy alternative, maybe I don't eat right now. I'm going to exercise. And nothing can stop that. If I don't have time to do man makers, I'll do the burpees in the room. Do whatever I got to do. I'm going to get it in because I made my commitment.
Yeah.
I'm going to honor my commitment. So I would say it's probably not the answer you were looking for.
No,
but that is the answer.
No, it is. No, I think you hit the nail right on the head, and I think you just answered a question that I had someone last night ask me, and I didn't feel like I had a really good answer, but they asked the question. We were talking about just personal finance and having a budget and just taking control of your money and not wondering where it went. Right. So the person asked, I don't know how you're so disciplined. Like I get money, and then as soon as I get paid, I just spend it on whatever I want. And they're like, I don't know how you're so disciplined. And then you just made me think. It reminded me of that conversation, and I'm like, oh, that would have been the right answer. Well, the reason that I'm diligent specifically with this conversation was about money. The reason I'm diligent with my money, the reason you're diligent with your body, the reason we're diligent with all 4 fires is because it's God's. So you hit the nail on the head with why we do all these things, and I wrote down the word steward.
Yeah.
Like, it's because it doesn't belong to us. They're gifts from God that we're called to manage and steward.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. I just heard an analogy, and if I've shared this with you, just forgive me. There's a music producer named Rick Rubin. He's done all kinds of genres of music, none of which I like anymore. But they didn't make the filter test for what I allow and don't allow. But he said this very interesting thing. He was asked, how do you choose what projects to work on? And I love the way he answered this. He says, anything I get excited about, I work on it. If doors keep opening, I keep working on it. If doors start closing, I move on.
Yeah.
And then the guy asked him, well, how do you determine success? And he told this little story about one of his kids that, like how kids do art in school, and they'll bring it to you. And you can tell, when your kid really, like, they put something into this and they want you to, like, acknowledge it. Like, I did this because I love you.
Right.
He said, I work on every project now as if I'm that kid, and I'm going to thank God for all the resources, all the skills, everything he's ever given me. I'm putting this thing together. I'm going to go, thank you. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. I mean, I'm choking up thinking about it, how much emotion. And so how that affects, this is how this stuff affects. And this is you asked me, how can I help build the Four Fires Tribe? I'm going to tell you, find more people that can tell a story like this. Okay. So, because this will convince people. This will convince people to go the Carl Jung route, which is fake it till you make it. All right. So, in the journey of starting that, that's what I was doing. I was just practicing faith without real faith.
Yeah.
Okay. That's better than not having any faith, and that's better than saying there is no God. I promise you, it's better.
Yeah.
Well, where this has led to me in a very short period of time, a couple years, that story I just told you, a friend of mine said, I know a guy, he's really talented, he's running another landscape company in town, he's not happy. Will you talk to him? Of course, I'll talk to anybody. So he comes in, and he says, tell me what you're trying to do. I told him that story. I'm like, look, I've been more successful than I ever thought I would be. Never really set out, this wasn't what I set out to be a professional golfer. Now I own a bunch of companies.
Yeah.
It's not, so now I'm rethinking this whole thing. And what I really want to do is I want to put a group of people together that like each other, that have our interests and goals aligned. And I want to build something that I can say that I'm willing to tell anybody about. And say we are good at what we do the best we can, and this company functions in a way, and I can go to God and say, I led this, I built this, but I did it because I wanted to thank you for the skill set, the blessings,
the brain power,
it's just the blessings. It's just, dude, man, I could just give you so many examples of just flood. When I say floodgates opened. He took the job on site for less money. He'll get his money. He's going to get his money. But he and he knows it's performance based. Yeah. But he took the job, and he's brought in a lot of work. I've prayed for accounts and businesses, and they're just. I mean, I can't tell you how many blessings have come in. I just can't even tell you.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
And the most important thing is that you're not forgetting where the blessings are coming from.
It's different than that, Jeff. I'm not forgetting.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
It's not like I did this.
Right.
And thanks God for, it's not like that.
No.
That's not how I'm looking at this.
Right.
I'm looking at, like, if I think I want to drink, I'm like, if I drink, then is the blessing fountain going to get cut off?
Yeah.
And I know God doesn't barter, and I'm not trying to barter.
Right.
But it does cross my mind.
Right. Yeah.
And if it's inhibiting me from doing something that makes me not the best version of me, then I'm grateful for it.
Yeah.
But no, it's not. No, it's just nothing's about me anymore, other than this little blurb I can control.
Yeah.
Just control my emotions, control my activities, and try to stay on mission.
Yeah. One more thing I feel like on this topic, and then the next thing I'm going to ask is not that much different, but you just talked about how you always write down your prayers, and then you've gone back and you've seen, oh my gosh, like every one of these have been answered. I think that's really important. So anybody listening to this, I feel like that should be a big takeaway of don't just pray, but also write your prayers down and keep them somewhere where you can go back, because if we don't, then in the opposite of maybe what would have happened if you wouldn't have written down all your prayers was you just feel like it's an endless, You maybe just don't remember even what you prayed or if it was answered or not. So
Best case scenario in my mind would be you don't remember.
yeah,
That'd be the best case scenario.
Right.
The worst case scenario, which I think is highly applicable to me, would be look at what I've done. I don't need you anymore, God. I got this.
Oh, wow.
I'm
Yeah.
rolling, baby.
Right.
That would be the worst case. Best case scenario would be you take it for granted.
Yeah,
Worst case scenario would be you think you did it.
that's really good.
And so somehow, some way, that's dug its way in to me.
Yeah.
And like it's in the core.
Yeah.
But when I read it, it was reinforced when I went back and looked at all the things. Man, I don't want to talk about my personal issues, but when you talk about the hole that I'm digging myself out of,
Yeah.
In all sorts of ways, I had already until I read that stuff, I'd already taken a lot of it for granted.
Yeah.
And the next step, the progression of that is look at what I did.
Yep.
And I refuse to become that guy.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be the look at what I did guy anymore, ever.
That's
Been that guy before.
Yeah.
Not going to be that. I needed to be humbled,
Uh-huh.
and I got my dose of the humble pie. I got a double portion, and I'm grateful for it. To be honest with you, I needed it. It's been the best thing that's ever happened to me.
Yeah.
It's like a lot of smart people say: not everything that's good is good, and not everything that's bad is bad. And I've definitely found the good, and probably one of the most trying times. You know.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. That makes me happy as your friend, as your brother in Christ. Like that just makes me really happy to hear the joy of where your heart is right now.
It's awesome. And
great.
I found this, and I meant to read it to you earlier and I forgot. But this, since we brought it up again, I want to read this because I want anyone that is struggling with something. This is Romans 5:6. And this is my interpretation of the scripture. So
Okay.
get your own Bible, read it. But it's chapter 5, verse 6. When we were hopeless at our weakest, at the right time. No, this is not the right one. Okay, this is it. Romans chapter 5, verses 3 through 5. Our struggles on earth can be blessings, for they produce endurance, which produces character, which produces optimism, which produces abundance. Mm-hmm. So if you're in the struggle bus, thank God for it. Mm-hmm. Look for the good in it. Take an honest assessment of why you're there.
Yeah.
Is it all your fault? Is it partially your fault? Mm-hmm. Make that honest assessment. Understand. Pray to God for endurance. Mm-hmm. And my statement says it every day. I go to God with all life challenges. He'll either open a door for a solution, and opening the door goes back to that the what I believe. If you're doing the right things, doors will keep opening. I can give you an example of that after we get done.
Yeah.
Pray for endurance. Endurance will produce character, which will produce the action items you're talking about. Character is what determines that I get up early enough to do this Bible study. If I have a 7 o'clock meeting, that means I have to get up earlier to do this because this comes first. Cold plunge, Bible study, prayer list, vision. If I can't fit it in, I got to meet later. This comes first. This starts my day. This ends my day. That's my pledge to God, and I will not back off of it.
Yep. Man.
But if anybody's hurting right now, take some solace.
What was it again? Romans
5, 3 through 5. This is my interpretation of it. But our struggles on earth can be blessings, for they produce endurance, which produces character, which produces optimism, which produces abundance. You may have to redefine abundance. I've had to redefine abundance.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole conversation. So John chapter 10:10, Jesus says, "The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. I've come so that you may have life and have it in abundance."
Right.
I think there are definitely people out there who take that verse and then we all know the phrase prosperity gospel of like, oh, God just wants you to be rich. No, I think what that verse means is spiritual abundance. It's like emotional abundance. It's like when I just talked about, like, I can see the joy that's in your heart right now.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the abundant life that Jesus is saying he's come to give us.
Like I told you, my friends and family, I've been thinking about people that have been very good to me that maybe I'm not close with. And I'll give you an example, this week example. So I text a guy that he's a doctor of physical therapy. He's a great human being. And we've had he called me and asked for some sponsorships for the football team when his son played football. And we just, we did all that. Yeah. But like anytime when my daughter had her knee stuff done, he just walked her through that, babysat her, and everything. And we've always had a very good friendship, relationship, but it was always something that I could have made better had I made an effort.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was thinking about this when I was writing my friends and family list, and he came to my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably because I'm thinking about my knee. It's always going to come back to being selfish, right? I'm thinking, okay, I wonder what who he had asked me to go see about my knee, because I've got some issues in my knee and it's golf and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But then trying to be a fountain, not a drain. I want to talk to him, but I want to give. So I called him and I said, hey man, how you been? He changed jobs and whatever. And let's go to lunch. I want to take you to lunch and pick your brain about a couple things. And so we went to lunch, and he said, man, I'm president of the Football Booster Club, and because of what you've done, you got me set on this way, and we've raised all the money we need and he said, it's because we're good, but he said, you helped me when we weren't good, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And he said, man, they put me in charge of the soccer team because they think I did the booster thing. He goes, I hate to ask you, can you help me? I'm like, dude, heck yeah. So, and I don't really have the money to do it. I mean, it's going to be through the business, but
What, to fund the soccer team?
Yeah. So, and I with nothing but faith that I'm doing the right thing. We wrote him a check, and it wasn't a big check, a couple $1,000s, but it's big to him, and it's big to him, and and then he gave me some stuff about my knee, but the thing is, I wouldn't have taken. And you could just feel he's going to be a friend of mine for the rest of our lives, and I know that because you can just feel it. You can feel when you connect with someone. And if it weren't for the Four Fires, and when I met Alan, I'm like, I don't need friends, man. What do I need friends for? I kill people. I don't need friends. Not kill people, but I conquer. I go win stuff. I go start businesses. I go make money. I go do this. I don't need a friend.
I need a business partner.
Right. Or a drinking buddy.
Right.
I don't need a friend. I need somebody to drive me when I do much of drink or whatever, Wow. But now I'm seeing the value in that interaction. And I've done that with 2 or 3 people, and that's strictly attributable to the Four Fires. I heard something, and I'll have to go back and look it up what I heard it, but it might have been in my Bible study. It might have been in another theological podcast I listened to. But basically, this guy was saying that the Old Testament isn't like this threat on, if you do this, then this. And it's more like if you want a how-to book on how to live successfully in this world that God created, these are kind of the guidelines.
It is the path.
It's not a list of things to not do because you're going to get punished. It's not something to run from. It's not something to avoid. It's just like Google Maps. Just do this and you're going to be okay. And I think convincing people of that, because we're just such a I think there's a lot of things that have caused it, but I think religion hasn't done any favors for itself. Organized religion hasn't done any favors for itself. I think the culture has made sure everybody knows that. I think it's all intentional. I think if you're worshiping God, you don't need the government. You understand, that your group of people that you're worshiping God with, or your source of power, not anybody else, certainly not anybody in Washington. They're only taking; they're not giving you anything. And so, I think convincing men, we've been set up culturally to fail, because what's promoted as really good masculine behavior goes against everything that God says is the best way to live your life. You can be a warrior. You can fight for your family. You can fight for your country. You can fight for your community. You don't have to go sleep with somebody else's wife. It's a bad recipe. You don't have to do any of this stuff. You don't have to steal. You don't have to lie. You don't have to be jealous of somebody else that has more success than you do. You don't have to do any of that. In fact, you're way better served not to. But that's not what society teaches you right now. So I would say, my advertisement for the Four Fires would be, if you want to reduce the stress in your life, and you want to run to something, not cycle getting in trouble and running away, getting in trouble and running away, having troubles in your life and escape clause. If you want to run to something that's better, instead of denying yourself all these things you should be doing, which is what I think a lot of people do. You got to get God in your heart. You got to get God in your heart, because then you're running to something. I'd rather be at peace with God and Jesus than drink, go to a place I shouldn't be, do things I shouldn't do.
Yeah.
That because society says those are what determines success. I'd rather have a good relationship with Jesus than have a bunch of money.
One of the other questions I had was, how has the strength of one fire shaped the downs of another, and then help bring that other fire up? Like, how have your, in terms of the four fires, how has it?
For me, it's always going to be balance, okay? Because I have that addictive gene. You know, whatever I do.
Yeah.
I do it well, do it hard.
Yeah.
And so I guess my plan would be to commit to do all four of them hard, and let the time, hours in the day sort it out. I'm not going to not take care of my body. That's been a strong suit of mine for a long time, minus the alcohol consumption. But I have neglected my friends and family. I have neglected God. I was a half a pie wheel, so I had full body, full work, and then like flat tire on the other half of my life with the four fires.
Yeah.
Right. So no fire in there, no wood,
It was a bumpy ride.
No logs. Yeah, that's right. So got a circle there, and I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
So we all are.
Well,
Yeah.
I am thrilled with the improvement in such a short period of time. My mind skies optimism. Like I said, like the verse, I'm full of optimism because I just am living so clean.
Yeah.
Just, but I'm happy doing it.
Yep.
I'm just so happy. And maybe young guy would say, well, hell yeah, because you've done all that other stuff, and maybe so. But my advice to a younger version of me would be, this is a better life. That other stuff is empty, man.
Yeah. Well, you read it in Romans chapter 5, and then also in the book of James, it says something similar where it's like, James says, "Count it all joy, brothers, when you experience various trials, for knowing that the testing of your faith produces endurance. And endurance, I think, when it does its complete work, produces, I can't remember what, but the whole idea is like, so actually, like you just said, like, a young guy, like a 25-year-old man might look at 55 and is like, oh, well, of course you're happy because you've had all this fun in your life, or like whatever. Yeah. But you're looking at it like, no, I wish you've told me before.
If I could buy stock in Jeff Rice, I'd buy a bunch of it. I think you're going to be wildly successful, and I don't know, that's between you and God. What you're going to be wildly. You might be the best father that God has ever put on the planet, and if you are, that will be so abundant for you. I think. Yeah, when you get 55, you look back and go, wow, time is such a valuable resource. And what did I spend my time doing?
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you're thinking about your kids already that you don't have. I think, and you might get this four fire thing going at a pace that, from a financial abundance. And I'm not one of the people that think, financial abundance is bad. I think if you do well and you do it the right way, I think there are a lot of good people that have done very well.
I don't at all think it's bad either. I think we're here to glorify God, and so like you were just talking about a minute ago, your heart is, and I think it's perfect. Like that's the way it's supposed to be, where you're like, thank you, God. Like, oh my gosh, this is not me. I am not this good.
Nope.
So as long as your heart's there, and then you're using whatever the strength is, whether it's physical strength, relational strength, financial strength, spiritual strength.
Right.
Leaders are lend strength, and you can't give what you don't have. So if I'm poverty stricken, so I'm not saying that I definitely don't think that wealth is bad. I think it all comes from God. But I do think that being so poverty stricken that you can't help anybody, that's bad.
That is bad.
Yeah.
That is
whether it's because your income is so low or because you make terrible spending decisions.
Or if you as a human being are so vacuous that you don't have anything to offer.
Right. Exactly.
being a leader is not being necessarily charismatic. A lot of leaders are charismatic. But this work, when I say this work, I mean the Four Fires work. I might be the only guy in America doing this. I may not be.
Yeah.
I may be the only guy in the world doing this. The fact that I am doing this intentionally, and if I can keep this up for a sustained period of time, by extension, by just the physical actions of doing this, I am a leader. I don't know who I'm leading.
Yeah. Right.
And it's not for me to determine. But if you're sitting at home and you're depressed and you're a man, I would say start with this. Get a piece of notebook paper and draw a quad on it and go God, body, friends and family, and work. And make yourself a 2-action list thing. Pray for a couple of things in each one of those categories and give that a month and call me and tell me you're still depressed. Because I don't believe you will be. Yeah. And you don't have to take a drug. You don't have to go see a doctor. Get on your knees. Ask God for some help. Draw that quad on a piece of notebook paper. Get a notebook so you can go back and read it because you'll get a lot of reinforcement from it. But if you do that, you'll be a better leader in your business, at your job, in your house. You'll be a better man.
Hey guys, I hope you're getting a lot out of this episode. And when we're looking at the way that Richard is writing out his action items for every day in each of the Four Fires and writing out his vision, I want to let you know about a resource that the Four Fires nonprofit has made available to you, and it's the Four Fires Daily Journal. And on the inside of this journal, there's a card and a page for each day where you can write out your action items for each fire every single day. There's going to be a scripture or a challenge or a question just to get your mind thinking at the top of the page, and then a spot to record a verse or verses of the day from your quiet time. So this is a great resource. I use mine. It's right over there on my desk every single day to be intentional with the things that I'm going to do for that day. So if you're interested in getting one of these Four Fires daily, reach out to me in the Four Fires tribe, or send an email to info@4-fires.com. You can find that email in the description below, and I'd love to get one of these in your hands to help you on your four-dimensional journey and make sure that we are all living intentionally every single day. Okay, back to the episode. That's really important because you just reminded me of something that you've said in the past. Actually, you told me this when you did the Ruck, which was it May of 2023?
Sounds right.
So yeah, it's been a while.
Yep.
And you said the times in my life where I've made the most money weren't the times where I was trying to make the most money. I was trying to work on myself.
That's correct.
And so that's kind of what I think you were just talking about. And for me, one of my purpose fire things, just a metric to know, okay, how's my purpose fire doing? I just have 3 words. It's read, pray, lead.
Yep.
So if I'm reading God's word, I'm praying, and then I'm leading in some capacity spiritually.
If you're doing those 2 or 3 things, Jeff, you are leading.
Right. So what I just could, because in my Four Fires Daily Journal over there that looks very similar to what you draw on the page.
Okay.
It has the chart. I write read, pray, lead in the purpose fire, and then I colon, and then I put something. What am I reading? What am I praying for? And oftentimes I actually, for the lead, I'm kind of stumped. Like, well, what am I gonna do today that's leading? But what I'm realizing is that it's not when I focus on trying to be a leader that I'm going to become a leader. It's focusing on me.
Yes.
And then in God's timing, that opportunity that day happens where I get the opportunity to lead. And then because of the strength that I've built and that God's given me, because I'm working on myself and growing closer to God, I'm able to lead well.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think asking to lead, I'm not sure about that. That doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Because I think you lead by extension.
Mm-hmm. It's just the example that you set in every.
By being as faithful as you are in this culture, you are a leader.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't know who you're leading. You're not.
Well, I mean, I do. I'm leading Rachel.
But you might be You've influenced me.
You've influenced me.
Well, that's leadership.
As iron sharpens iron.
That's
exactly.
leadership.
Yeah.
So I asked for a way to give back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't care for the mantle of leadership. And again, as an older guy talking to a young guy who's owned companies for a while, I've never, being a leader has just kind of been what I've done, but not in the way that I think about it.
Yeah.
I've never been worth a darn until, and I'm not even now, but at least now I think I have a hope to be. My guy in Augusta, John, what's his name? I love that guy.
John Boudreaux.
I love John. That guy,
Great guy
is a leader. He's been on the right path for a long time, and you can see it. He's got that aura I talk about. He's got peace. That man's at peace. He's a good dude.
Yep.
Y'all want to find a leader? Go talk to John.
Yeah.
If you want to, somebody working on it, call me.
Yeah. Yep. No, for sure. And it's so important. Going back to what you said, you're the beginning of your Four Fires journey.
I am.
You said, or when like Alan first introduced it, you were like, I don't need friends. But what you're talking about right now, what we're talking about right now is, oh no, you need strong, godly men in your life.
Men need men.
Men need men.
Men need men.
Absolutely. Men need men. We need to be an authentic community with other men where we're having deep, authentic conversations about the things that we're dealing with, the things that we're struggling with, the things that we're excited about, and areas that we can be more intentional and grow. So one of the tools that the Four Fires nonprofit has created to help you, me, and the men in my life to live more intentionally is we have written the Four Fires small group content. This is a great tool. It's an 8-week small group content for you and the men in your life to go through, take some deep dives into the Four Fires content, and make sure that we're creating authentic community and we're striving to grow with one another. So if you are interested in starting a Four Fires small group, go to fourfires.com. On the small groups page, you can read more about it there, watch a video that explains a little bit more about it, and then there's an application for you to fill out. And if you fill out that application, it's going to send me a notification, and I'll reach out to you and make sure that you and your group all get the resources that you need to start becoming the man that God created you to be. With that being said, let's get back to the episode.
I don't know what it is. It's something in our makeup. You need a man you can count on. When you just need it. You can't be everywhere all the time. I didn't feel good about going on this trip because of the storm and just a lot of things going on in the world right now. And I've got a couple of guys that I've become close enough to that I called my closest friend yesterday, and I'm like, hey, man, if anything goes on while I'm gone, I need you to go check on my mom. Yeah. And he's like, done.
That's really cool because when I started, my people fire specifically in the Friends area was my lowest fire when I started, when I heard about the Four Fires when I was Alan's student at Point, and which was so weird because I was in college, I was on a baseball team. Why would I not have really close friends? But all I had was surface level acquaintances. I had nobody that like really knew me.
Well,
and I've done a lot of work in that area, and I've got a guy right now that I'm like, man, he would be the guy that I would call.
Yeah.
And I think like we talk about like your casket's going to have 6 handles on it. So just a cool little metaphor. Like if your wife or someone in your life can't identify 6 men that would be honored to carry your casket that aren't family members, that are friends,
you're not doing it right.
Then you're probably missing out on something there. And there's no magic to the number 6. Like right now I've got one guy that's like real.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to force it of like, oh man, I'm not a success because I don't only have one. I mean, I think that the more that I am putting logs on this people fire, that another one will come along. But I feel really good about the work that I've done in the last 3 years.
I got one side covered. I got 3 guys that everybody would know.
If they're really strong, they can carry the casket. 3 guys can carry it.
2 of them can make up for the 3rd.
Yeah. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, we need men in our life.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I just want to help. I want to give back, and I think whatever each individual's version of this, everybody sees themselves differently and whatever, but that's what I got.
All right. Well, Richard, thanks so much for your time. And I hope all the listeners get something out of this. And as we continue to build the Four Fires Army, I'm happy that you're a part of it. And, Anybody, if you want to get in touch with me or get any other Four Fires resources, send an email. You can find that email in the description. And remember to live intentionally.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Jeff.